Welcome to the Chartered Accountants Global Update, the audio newsletter keeping you connected to what matters across the global profession. And today, we're marking a milestone. This is episode 30. 30 episodes in, and the conversations keep getting richer. Today's no exception. We've got 3 stories that all point, in different ways, to the same idea: that accountancy is at its best when it looks beyond the balance sheet. We'll hear about a remarkable young South African activist who's using the tools of our profession to tackle gender-based violence. We've got an important heads up about carbon border adjustment mechanisms and why they demand your attention right now. And we'll close with a look at Seika's latest sustainability snapshot and what it means for transition planning. Let's get into it. Our first story is one that genuinely stopped me when I came across it. It features Kethiwe Sibanyoni, a young South African woman who is both an aspiring chartered accountant and a social impact activist working to tackle gender-based violence. The question she starts with is a striking one. What if the rigor that keeps companies honest could also save lives? That's not a rhetorical flourish. It's literally how she approaches her work. Kethiwe started volunteering at gender-based violence shelters at the age of 11. By the time she was building her professional career, auditing across oil and gas, pharma, and FMCG, she'd already begun developing a youth-led foundation designed around 3 pillars. The first is detection, rooted in research and data, understanding where the problem is and how it manifests. The second is prevention, working with both girls and boys to shift norms before harm occurs. And the third is correction, survivor support through a network of 13 shelters in Gauteng, prioritizing psychosocial care, education, and economic empowerment. What's so compelling is how she translates the language of audit into the language of social impact. Controls, budgets, outcome metrics. She doesn't leave those at the office door. She talks about building programs that endure beyond any single leader, which is really the definition of sustainable institutional design. Her message to the business community is direct. Define your social impact with the same precision you bring to profit. And her message to young people who want to make a difference: start with what you have. Stay authentic. Fall in love with the problem until the solution reveals itself. There's something very grounded about that. No grand blueprint, just persistent, credible engagement. The full profile of Kethiwe Sibanyoni is on the Chartered Accountants Worldwide website. Now, shifting gears quite significantly, let's talk about something very much in the regulatory and trade space: carbon border adjustment mechanisms, or CBAMs. This is a topic that's been building for a while, and we're now at the point where businesses really need to pay attention. Chartered Accountants Ireland and the Institute of Chartered Accountants Scotland have come together to host a webinar on this on the 12th of March, and it's worth flagging now. A quick primer: a carbon border adjustment mechanism is essentially a carbon price applied to certain high-carbon imports. The idea is to prevent what's known as carbon leakage, where production simply shifts to countries with weaker climate rules, undermining the emissions reductions achieved at home. The EU has already implemented its CBAM, and it's now in a transitional phase. The UK is set to introduce its own version in 2027. So if your business imports steel, cement, aluminium, fertilisers or electricity, among other goods, compliance obligations are heading your way, and the time to prepare is now, not later. The webinar will feature a carbon border adjustment mechanism regulator speaking directly to how the EU regime is working in practice, where the friction points are, what's actually being asked of businesses, alongside advisors sharing what they're seeing with clients. UK importers in particular will get clarity on what steps to take ahead of 2027. This is the kind of regulatory development that can catch businesses off guard. Supply chain implications, cost modeling, reporting requirements, it all adds up quickly. Registration details are on the Chartered Accountants Worldwide Events page. Our final item today is a new resource from the South African Institute of Chartered Accountants, which has published what they're calling a sustainability snapshot. It's aimed at boards and executive teams working through transition planning, and it's practical in a way that a lot of sustainability guidance isn't. A few things stood out. The first is the emphasis on stakeholder engagement, not as a box-ticking exercise, but as genuinely central to how a transition plan is designed. Who are you accountable to, and how are you bringing them along? The second is around measurable targets. There's a clear push for specificity, time-bound goals, defined accountability, alignment with international frameworks. And that matters because sustainability claims are going to face the same level of scrutiny as financial statements. Vague commitments won't hold up. The third piece is governance. SAICA makes the case that embedding what they call just transition principles, meaning a transition that is fair and inclusive, not just technically efficient, builds long-term value, trust, and resilience. That phrase is worth sitting with. It's not just about getting to net zero, it's about how you get there, and who bears the costs, and who shares the benefits along the way. For practitioners advising clients on sustainability strategy, or organizations building their own reporting capability, this is a resource worth downloading. It's available on the Chartered Accountants Worldwide website. That's episode 30 of the Chartered Accountants Global Update. And looking back at today's 3 stories, there's a thread that runs through all of them. The skills we build as chartered accountants, rigor, measurement, accountability, credibility, are not just tools for the boardroom. They're tools for the world. Whether that's fighting gender-based violence, navigating carbon regulation, or building transition plans that hold up to scrutiny, this profession has a real role to play. If you found this useful, please share it with a colleague. And if you have a story you think we should cover, reach out through the Chartered Accountants Worldwide website. Until next time, take care.